Alright, so what I'd like to do is I want to do a brief overview of the Kia Sorento 2015 SX model. I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Of course, it's got the smart key system, so all we have to do is push on the brake, hit the starter, and off we go. So I'm going to go through some of the features I really like, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and go for the little drive. And then I will show you everything I like and don't like. So I'll start with things I really like. Like the backup camera. I love the gauges in this truck. We call it a truck, really it's obviously an SUV. And just spoiler alert, I like more in this vehicle. I have more pros than I have cons, and it's just been a fantastic driver for us. Go ahead and back out of here without hitting anybody. First and foremost, I love the features that came with this. We paid just under $34,000 brand new for this. And basically what that gets you is a almost fully loaded vehicle, at least one of the most loaded vehicles I've ever had. And one of the best things that this thing has going for it are the seats. It has nice leather seats. The coolest feature, I would say my favorite, hands down, are the air-cooled seats. So basically it has 3 settings on the air-cooled seats. And also heated seats. And I think Kia did a really good job here with the toggle switches. Everything is easy to get at. Anybody can hop in this car and figure out how to drive it and how to use the features. So, you know, as far as that goes, Kia did a just excellent job with that. Another thing I'm a big stickler on are steering wheels. So this is a fantastic steering wheel. It has all the buttons right where you expect them to be. It has a little toggle up and down for the volume and the cruise control speed. Which is really cool. You know, you could be not even needing to look down and you can see what you need to see. So that's awesome. Another thing, this is going to sound like all praise, but I'll get to the negatives in a little bit here, but I love the paint on the Kias. I've had Toyotas, Subarus, you name it, and the paint always seems to chip. And rock chips, whatever, I mean, it seems to chip. And these vehicles, we've had 2 Kias now, and both of them have had very solid paint on them. We just got rid of a 6-year-old minivan, Kia Sedona, and that thing had no rock chips on the front. It's just amazing. So I'm really liking that. So I'll go through some of the features here, but I'll also show them to you when we pull off. And it's got the heated and air-cooled seats. It has a power rear liftgate. Power folding and heated mirrors. The heated air-cooled seats. It's got the navigation. The other neat thing with the navigation is it'll actually pull it into the center display here, which is all digital. So the speedometer's digital. You can change all the different computer screens. Here, this is the display we leave up, but you can go ahead and cycle through. So we've got our different trips, and it gives you all the different information. It also has the music. If we were to have our navigation system going right now, really neat thing is it'll pull it right up here. So in case you don't want that on your main display and you just want to keep your radio up, which is what we usually do, and my wife likes to be in control of that while I'm trying to do the navigation, we can keep it up there. Tells you when your service is due, and then you can go through and change all sorts of settings in the vehicle. And so that's really nice. It also has a 115 volt power outlet that you can turn on and off. So it's got like a little inverter built in. So if you've got anything you want to plug in, any of your children's toys or whatever, you can plug it in back there. It has 2 cigarette jacks, USB, auxiliary. Traction control, all-wheel drive. I love the blind spot detection. That's really cool. And I actually find now when I'm in a vehicle that does not have that, I'm just expecting it should have that, and gets you into some hairy situations. So you almost start relying on some of those safety features. It has an auto-dimming mirror with your 3 garage door opener buttons there, which is nice. It also has the panoramic moonroof, which I wasn't really sure about that, and that was one of the things that I thought maybe I wasn't gonna like, and I was just worried about it breaking, or I don't know. I mean, it gets really cold where we're at. It can get down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit and all the way up to 110. So, I was kind of worried about how that would hold up, and that has not been a problem. So that's nice. And we actually use this as our main hauler for our family. I mean, if we're going up north, we're going to a cabin, whatever, this just seems to be the one that we want to jump in and take a ride. It has just the perfect amount of space for us. We are a 4-person family. We've got 2 small children, and this seems to suit our needs just fine. The other thing that I like about this, so that's kind of the interior features. Everything's really soft for the most part. You've got some harder plastics, but everywhere your arms rest is very plush, very soft leather. Has a feeling like it is going to hold up for quite some time. And yeah, I'd just say overall we love this car. And I just think because of the build quality and how smooth it is, this will be something that we're going to hold on to for quite some time. And really not too much for complaints. One thing I will say is the ride can get a little stiff, but it's not as bad as the previous generation Sorentos were. And I think for us with this particular Sorento, it's because we have those really low profile tires that, I mean, they don't have any give in them. So the suspension tries to keep up with it, but really you're partially at the mercy of those tires. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you're looking for smoothness of ride. Maybe get something with a little bit beefier of a tire. Goes without saying, it's got the power seats, which are really nice. We also like the safety behind this with all the airbags, and it just seemed like a more substantial vehicle than we were used to owning. So the other thing that's really nice is this thing has 290 horsepower. So if you've got to get out of a jam, you have to tow something, whatever, this thing has got some guts. I mean, you feel like you're gonna rip the pavement up. And this is coming off of having a Subaru WRX, which was turbocharged all-wheel drive with a stick shift. And honestly, this thing feels faster to me. And it gets the same gas mileage without having to put premium in it. So, that's a plus. Speaking of gas, I'm getting roughly 350 miles out of a tank, which for us is an average of, I'd say, 20 to 22 miles per gallon, which isn't fantastic, but for a V6 with 290 horsepower, that's actually fairly good. Right now we've got 9,000 miles we put on this. We've had this for just over a year, and it actually used to be my vehicle. Now my wife is driving it, and she loves it. So another thing we like is we like music, and so we really like having the Infinity surround sound that we have here. It also has a built-in subwoofer with the system, and it sounds pretty good. I'm not going to say it's fantastic, but it sounds pretty good. It's definitely above average, and it's definitely acceptable, which is nice. The other thing that Kia's been putting in a lot of their lineup is this steering wheel control, where you can toggle it between sport, normal, and comfort. And when you put it on comfort, you can basically turn the wheel with your finger. It's so light. But what I've found is when you get on the highway, it's almost hard to keep it on the road. If you're taking a tight turn going about 70, it's hard to explain, but it just feels like there's a lot of input and not a lot of feedback. So for me, I like the sport mode, where it actually puts the most amount of weight into the steering. And my wife has reported back with the same thoughts, that really Sport had the best feeling for her. So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get back and then I'll kind of walk through some of the features and, you know, what the interior looks like. But again, this is a really quiet place to be. You know, coming off of the minivan that we had and some other cars, this is definitely one of the quietest vehicles I've ever owned, which just, you know, makes the drive pleasant. You know, and as far as aesthetics go, I really like it has the LED lights in the front, which a lot of manufacturers doing. But I also like the back has some LED lights in it too that are pretty sharp. So I also had the chance to test this out over 2 winters, as far as how it does with snow and ice. And I can honestly say this is definitely the best vehicle I've had for traction in those conditions. I mean, this thing just grips and goes without a problem. And like I'd mentioned, we have 2 children. We've got 2 car seats in here, and there's probably maybe just barely enough space for a small child to sit in between those 2 car seats. But it's by no stretch of the imagination a real big vehicle. If you have a family of, you know, 5 or 6, you might be kind of stretching your luck on what you can fit in here, but for what we have, this is perfect. So, and we really like the looks of this too. You know, over the minivan, this actually has the 3rd row seating, which is something we want in case we were to have another child, that this would have enough space for us. If you're thinking about getting one, I would highly suggest going ahead. Just been a fantastic vehicle for us. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.